What's up, folks? Wes Pruitt, 4-Star Sports Media. You are sitting down on Sunday, so you know it's over-under time. We get over, we find out if you're over-under. It's real simple. We give you unique way of picking games, picking topics, just fun way to do it. Hey, while you're looking at the screen, folks, right there, SeatGeek promo code 4-Star Sports Media. Head over to SeatGeek now. When you do, create your login. Write your password down so you don't forget it. Go find you any ticket, $50 or more. Once you find that ticket, type in 4-Star Sports Media and us here at 4-Star. Save you a little bit of money. We save you $20 off that first ticket purchase. So with college football coming up, NFL preseason's kicking in right now. Other sports are going on. Hockey's getting ready to be back as well. So plenty of ticket opportunities. Head over to SeatGeek now and take care of a promo deal from us here at 4-Star Sports Media. But now, so let's find out who's over and who's under. Welcome to the show, folks. Welcome to the show. We got John Sturdivant in here as well. Let me get John's banner up here. I think I just put Sturdivant. Yep, I did. Sturdivant joins the show. Everyone, I feel like, knows who Sturdivant is by now. I call him Sturd, whatever you want to call him. But John, welcome in, man.
Appreciate you bringing me back. You did a great job with JP last weekend, so keep up the good work on the over and under.
Yeah, man. And then we had a special episode on, what was that, Wednesday? Whatever day that was, with Tony Siracusa, where we did over under and we talked specifically Wake Forest football. That's going to be a theme of this show as well. We're going to bring on guys specifically from teams and talk over under for their teams because it's a very easy way to do that. So yeah, shout out Tony Siracusa as well. The Don of college football, as I call him, did an amazing job.
Yep, the great goat of college football talk. And then, like you brought up a good point with Tony, regarding Wake Forest. I think right now the question is, how many times is Dave Clawson also going to be on the hot seat for an over and under discussion? Because throughout the year, last year he finished 4-8, and this year it's going to be an interesting year for Wake Forest. Are they going to bounce back? Or are they going to be basically barely bowl eligible? It's going to be interesting for Wake Forest this year, I think.
No doubt, man. No doubt. And for any of you that's watched or gone back and listened, head over to 4star.live. That's where that is right now. Or you can check it out right here on our social medias. But man, when you look at, like you said, quarterback play, Tony straight up said, "Hey, Clawson's not on the hot seat. He's pretty clean slate there." And I mean, he's been there. I think been there 11 years. So been there quite some time. I know. I mean, he was there when I lived out there. So, but man, you look at the world of college football, the world of sports in general, man. There's NFL preseason happening right now. You got games going on literally right now. But John, let's start there, man. Let's start with a little bit of NFL preseason. So first off, let me ask you this: what's your thoughts on the preseason as a whole? Like, do you pay attention to it? Do you not?
I mean, I do pay attention to it because you want to see other players other than the starters and see how they do. Because, for example, I'll give one out right now. You want to see how maybe like a Jabari Small, a former Tennessee Vol running back, former Briarcrest High School player, how he stands out on the depth chart going forward. Because right now, or maybe like a Blake Watson from the University of Memphis who plays for the Denver Broncos. Because right now they might be signed to the practice squad per se, and they can build up from that. Or like in Blake Watson's case, as of right now, he does have a backup plan and play for the Showboats. So it'd be definitely, they used to have it like 5 games, I think, for the preseason. Now they're down to 4. And maybe I kind of, like we talked about this past week, I kind of wish you could see like a starting quarterback play more than one drive and whatnot, just to see how they are with the second stringers and whatnot. But I still like the preseason. I still like watching it. I definitely like watching different matchups, like regarding the Dallas Cowboys yesterday. playing against the Raiders and seeing that interesting field goal from 66 yards out. So it's definitely interesting to still see get some good kickoffs and good kicking game as well for some special teams.
Yeah, and that's one hot topic going into this season is the new kickoff rule, which I have vocally been very happy about. I'm a big proponent of, because in my opinion, it makes you able to accentuate the talent that's on your team, especially speed wise. You talked about the Denver Broncos. They're currently up 3-0 right now. Bo Nix is currently at quarterback for the Broncos as they take on the Green Bay Packers. Currently, you've got the San Francisco 49ers and the New Orleans Saints at 0-0. But you talked about games yesterday, John, and incredible kicks. The Tennessee Titans, man, nailed a 59-yarder and then turned around and nailed another one to win the game. After the game, they would talk to the kicker, and he would just say, hey, when the second it left my foot, I knew it was in.
Yeah.
Um, so Baltimore knocked off Atlanta yesterday, 13-12. Chicago, 3-0 as they knock off Cincinnati 27-3. Houston would knock off Houston 2-1 now would beat the Giants 28-10. We would see the Detroit Lions take all defeat the Kansas City Chiefs 24-23. And let me stop there. This is not a over under question, but I'm just curious. Over under, John, how many times do you think we'll see the Patrick Mahomes behind the back pass either posted about or talked about on social media this upcoming week? I'm going to put that at about 10,000.
10,000. What a great number because it's already got probably like 24,000 likes on social media right now on X/Twitter. So I'll say definitely say over on that.
Yeah. I mean, it's that is one of the wildest plays I've seen. Of course, then I love the interview with Travis Kelsey, and he's like, "Man, he made fun of his voice. He did a little Kermit the Frog voice a little bit there. He just said, "Look, man, just throw me the ball," and he did. He did a little behind the back pass, but they did. Kansas City Chiefs did lose. They're 0-2. Not that it really matters, but they are 0-2 so far in preseason play. And then we would see. Man, what a rough week for Minnesota. And then they come back and get a win 27-12 over the Cleveland Browns. The Jets, Jets, are now 2-0 in preseason. They would win 15-12 over the Carolina Panthers. We'd see the Indianapolis Colts knock off the Arizona Cardinals 21-13. The Dolphins would win 13-6 over the Washington Football Club Commanders. Buffalo would man, what a barn burner this game was. Is that good defense or bad offense?
I'll say he was a mixture of both. Because looking at it, Pittsburgh, Justin Fields, 11 of 17 for 92 yards. Russell Wilson, 6 of 10 for 47 yards.
My gosh, there was
between those quarterbacks, you only got 3 points though.
Yeah,
Come on,
the Battle of L.A. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't get it. That makes no sense. Hey, John, we had the Battle of L.A. yesterday. The Rams and the Chargers. The Rams won this battle, 13-9. Man, another just barn burner of points put on the board there. Jacksonville won 20-7 over Tampa Bay. The Dallas Cowboys would win the late night. That game was on late because I watched that game. 27-12 over the Las Vegas Raiders. As weird as that sounds to say, the Las Vegas Raiders. So, John, big time stuff there, man. Fun week of NFL preseason football. I asked the question a minute ago if you enjoyed it. When it comes to me, man, I thoroughly enjoy it because especially this week, right? Because you get to see the guys that are, albeit fighting for a position on the team. You see the twos and the threes out there doing everything they can to impress not only their team that they're currently playing for, but every other team in the NFL because every other team in the NFL is going to be watching these games. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about Bo Nix, folks. Don't sit here, what said Bo Nix is going to just go somewhere. No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. I'm talking about guys like John talked about. Um, you know, Blake Watson, he's signed a contract currently with the Memphis Showboats. He's currently playing for the Denver Broncos. You know what can happen there? What can transpire there? We've seen a lot of guys from the UFL signed to rosters in the NFL, and I think that is a sign that the UFL is doing what it was built to do, and that is get players noticed and get players to the league.
Yep.
Would you agree with that, John?
Yeah, absolutely. We could look at, I just look at the Jets quarterback situation from yesterday, and
Hmm.
Adrian Martinez is a Jet quarterback right now. So definitely.
Yeah, man. For sure, for sure. All right, man. Let's get into it. It's time to find out: are you over or are you under? And we're going to talk college football this week. As John, and in case you didn't know, John, um, the season starts Saturday
Yeah, it's right around the corner, and it starts
with
in
a
Dublin.
Dublin matchup. That's WWE. Sorry, Florida State and Georgia Tech Battle of Dublin. Man, I'm telling you, the line in this game is only 11 points, John, and we're going to talk about that as we close when we pick games. But this is a sneaky, sneaky, sneaky game if you're a gambling person. Georgia Tech is not the Georgia Tech of old. They don't just run triple option anymore. John, what's your as we get into it, man? What's your thoughts on this game opening the 2024-2025 football season?
I love the ACC schedule right off the bat, to be honest with you, because in years past, you used to see like a Florida State Miami week one on Labor Day week or on Labor Day weekend, in years past. But to start off week zero, just the start of the college football season in Dublin, especially when you don't know. I'm sure you got a lot of fans on both sides, maybe making that expensive trip across the pond, and whatnot. But I'm anxious to see what how many days in advance people are not players or not fans, but players and coaches are going to get used to that time zone, whatnot as well, and how many days they're going to be traveling. I've heard some reports out there that Florida State, I think, is flying out on Tuesday, and they might be doing a little bit of practice and sightseeing throughout the week. But how many days in advance are you guys going to be preparing in Dublin to prepare for this game on Saturday morning? Our local time here at 11 o'clock Central Time. But it's going to be interesting regarding that.
Well, I think if you're Florida State and Georgia Tech, and of course the fans too, but you've got to become acclimated to that environment. I would think. I mean, you got to get ready, get used to the time change, all that. As we know, Florida State did not make the college football playoff last year. So, John, we'll start there, man. How many times will we hear that Florida State did not make last season's CFP? I'm going to put it at 50. Are you over or are you under, John?
And it is a 6 hour time difference, by the way. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so it ain't too bad after all. I thought it would have been like 8 or 9, to be honest with you. So it's only like a 6 hour time difference, which ain't too bad. But how many times will we hear that FSU did not make last season's college football playoff? In week zero on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on college game day? And throughout the telecast? Right now at 50, I'll say it's going to be at least 40. So I'll say under.
Man, give me over on this all freaking day long. I think we dang near hear it. Just now, keep in mind, John, ESPN, the game plus pregame plus other games plus post game.
Oh, I thought you were just talking about during that college game day and the game during the game. My
Oh, no,
bad.
no, 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 no. I'm talking about during week one. Yeah, yeah, during week one as a whole.
So definitely over it. And
How
I'm
many
sorry.
times?
I thought you were just
50.
talking
I
about like,
think 50 is very. I think 50 is. Oh no, you're good. I think 50 is very low number. I was being way generous there. You know me. I am a nice guy. Yeah, I think it's going to be over, man. I think we hear this obviously all season. But honestly, can we just put it? Can we move on to 2024, 2025? What's the over under on that? Fans that actually move on to 2024, 2025, John.
Probably like 4 or 5. No.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, man. Speaking of fans, John, the Florida State fan base has a complete hate relationship with Kirk Herbstreit. Kirk
You should
doesn't
put
care.
Kirk Herbstreit / Paul Finebaum on that.
Hey, true, 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 true. How many times will FSU fans mention Kirk Herbstreit this week? I'm talking about from now, game day. I was generous at this one too, at 500.
It's got to be over.
I should have put 10,000. Um, what's your thoughts on this, man? Speaking of 2024, 2025, what's your thoughts on Herb Street, Feinbaum for that matter, um, and Florida State fans?
Well, we brought up last year during the college football playoff a little bit. I think it's just I'm not calling Kirk Herbstreit a homer or whatnot, but he does have a lot of favoritism for the SEC over the ACC at times. So I'm not kind of surprised that Kirk Herbstreit would kind of say something like that. But well, looking back at it, didn't Kirk Herbstreit do that Louisville Florida State game, the ACC championship? Didn't him and Fowler do that game?
I believe so. Yes.
So if they did that game, then Kirk Herbstreit should definitely understand why Florida State probably got ripped off on that college football playoff. So why would he say something like that if he actually did that telecast after all? You had so many players option out right before the ACC championship where you also remember Brock Glenn was that's his first career start as a true freshman in the ACC championship as well. So if anybody could understand, Kirk Herbstreit should definitely understand why Florida State, missed the playoff, for example. But if I remember right, after that ACC championship, Florida State probably had half of the offense option out like a week after the ACC championship was finished and whatnot as well. Anyway, because they weren't sure on what bowl game they were maybe qualified for, other than the playoff and whatnot, if I'm not mistaken. So for half of their offense to be not even available for the bowl game or even the bigger playoff, I totally think I understand on why Florida State probably didn't make the playoff now because of it. They didn't want another Georgia TCU national title game like they had that one year.
Yeah, I mean, I was on, or we were on because there was numerous people on, but we were on the call, that media call with Kirby Smart and with Mike Norvell. And when I tell you that was the most tense, uptight, upset, two demoralized coaches. Neither one of them wanted to talk. Neither one of them had a whole lot to say. Mike Norvell was absolutely freaking livid. Kirby Smart started his opening statement backing Florida State for the college football playoff. I mean, I about fell off the couch.
Yeah, it's no shit at Mike Norvell at
But
all.
I mean,
Yeah.
oh no, none at all, man. It's as a quote unquote, as a diehard Memphis fan. I was gonna say quote unquote, but I mean, I am diehard. But there's a lot of quote unquote Memphis fans. There we go. There's the quote unquote for you. That just despise the guy, and I understand. It's similar to Calipari. It's not that he left; it's how he left. I get it. I understand. But the man has done an incredible job in Tallahassee, Florida. You cannot deny that. No one in the nation should deny it. They're setting up to have an incredible season again. They're opening the season in a stadium that holds 51,000 people. It's the only game. Everybody has to watch who? Them. You think back to his time at Memphis. It was a lot of times Memphis played, and the only team that you could watch was Memphis. He knows how to promote a football team. He knows how to demand the eyes of a room. I think it's going to be hard to do it again. 13-1. And the one game, like you said, I mean, it's hard to say, oh, it doesn't count. But really? I mean, Georgia beat them 63-3. And let's just call a spade, John. They could have scored 100.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of Florida State, how many teams will be upset in week 1? I have this number right now at 3, John. Are you over or under there?
Well, I was going to be over to 500. What about you, by the way?
Oh, that way over.
Yeah.
It's probably getting close now, to be honest with you.
Yeah. College football teams, I'll be upset week 1. There is some interesting lines, which we'll talk about when it gets closer to the game or whatnot. But right now, I could see. Let's do over. Maybe like right at 4 or 5. Because there's some interesting matchups, which we'll talk about next week a little bit more in depth. But when was the last time you see Montana State favored over New Mexico? I know.
Oh, yeah.
It's not an upset. I know it's like not an upset if Montana State wins because they were favored. But when you see a 1AA team beat a Division I school, that's always an upset, and whatnot. So, and then North Dakota State could very well go to Colorado and beat Colorado. And then Minnesota, North Carolina, to me, is really a toss-up, although Minnesota right now is favored in that game. So I'll do over maybe like 4 or 5 per se.
Yeah, and of course we see it yearly. You know what I mean? There's that good old preseason poll we just talked about last week. It's bound to happen. You've got in a lot of cases these are these teams quote unquote Super Bowl. I know a lot of people like to throw that out. Oh, we're your team's Super Bowl. In the case of North Dakota State, if they beat Colorado to open their season, it does everything for them, and it does everything in the opposite fashion for Colorado. So
yeah, when Colorado's got Nebraska the week after.
Yeah. You got Nebraska, which hey, we've talked about them. Don't sleep on that Cornhusker game. It would be year 2 under Matt Rule, but don't sleep on that. He's been really good in year 2. Don't sleep on Matt Rule and that team. I'm telling you right now, don't do it. He's kept his staff together too. All right, man. I'm gonna go over. I think it'd be like you similar. I think it'd be close to 5 or 6, maybe even 7. All right, so game day's back next week. I'm very excited. Corso is also back. This has been a pretty hot topic for some time now. Corso is obviously old. Let's just, and I don't mean that in a negative way. No, I don't mean that in a negative way. What I'm saying is, like, he's more experienced than anybody else. I don't, you know what I mean? I'm using the term old as like in more of a sense of experienced, mature, knowledge, things like that. But man, to hear that man drop F-bombs on College Game Day is some of the funniest stuff I have ever seen in my life.
Pull the shotgun out with Texas.
Oh, dude, pulling the shotgun out and just blasting that sucker right in front of everybody and not caring about who's around him, who's next to him, nothing. Or getting those pistols out at Texas Tech and just firing them bad boys.
Yeah.
To me, game day is not game day without Lee Corso. And eventually, eventually it's going to happen because that's life. But, man, I don't want to sound negative, and I'm not trying to be that guy, but can we start grooming? I like Pat McAfee, don't get me wrong, but can we start grooming someone to be the next Corso?
That's one reason I think.
Is that possible? Yeah. Is it?
I
Go
think
ahead.
it's possible. Yeah, I think it's possible because you just brought up Pat McAfee. I don't think he signs that new contract with ESPN as the person to replace Corso down. Like we all know, Corso's future is in doubt right now, next couple of years anyway, because of his age and health and all of that. So that's one reason I think you sign it. Like you signed a Pat McAfee this year to a contract extension because of Lee Corso's health, and whatnot. So whenever Corso can't make the road games, across country, and whatnot, that's one reason I think you brought Pat McAfee back because of that. And who doesn't love Pat McAfee like he did last year when Georgia played Alabama? He called out the dogs to
Oh,
start
it was so
the
funny.
pick. He called out the dogs to start the pick, and then he changed it over to roll tide, that type of
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, I
So
mean,
that's
when
why.
he who was it? What game was that? The Rose Bowl they were at, and Nestler was talking about Jalen Milroe's Lank or whatever it was, his little acronym thing. And
Uh-huh.
he read off what the media had given him to read off. And McAfee was like, man, that is not where I thought that was going. And then the rest of the crew immediately was like, yes, thank you for saying something because now we can laugh about it too. I think when you look at, first off, Kirk Herbstreit, we talked
Mm-hmm.
about him just a minute ago when it comes to FSU fans. I made the statement that he didn't care. That's not my opinion. He straight up said it. I'm cleaning up what he said, to be honest with you, because he said I don't give a shit. So yeah, he said I don't give a shit. So um, that's his words, not mine. He said it on somebody else's podcast. But here's the thing: what's ESPN gonna do? What are they gonna do? Nothing. And guys like Pat McAfee are giving guys like Kirk Herbstreit and others kind of a platform to do that on. If you think about it, I mean, Aaron Rodgers and all the stuff he said. AJ Hawk's on there every day. Plus,
Mm-hmm.
he brings guests in. Caitlin Clark was on there recently. Um, you know, he brings guys in, talks sports, talks other topics as well. But Herb Street, what are they going? What are you going to do? You going to let Herb Street go? What's going to happen to the ratings on College Game Day? They're going
Go
to
down.
plummet.
This
Who
isn't
you
all
going
the
to find?
Ohio State fans.
Yeah, I mean, who you going to find to call your marquee game every week? That's going to start out at game day, maybe somewhere else, and then fly across the
Mm-hmm.
country to call a marquee game 3 hours away.
Well,
However, all
yeah.
the way across the country, whatever it may be. Um, I think Corso says not so fast, my friend, more than 4 times this week. To be honest with you, um, and I'm not trying. This is not a hot take. I also don't think Corso makes it the entire season. I'm not saying he's going to pass away. It's not what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm saying I think they eventually make a decision, and he and his people, his family, all that make a decision. But more importantly, I think his friends of the rest of the game day crew make a decision of okay, hey, we start the season with him, and then we make it almost like his swan song around halfway through the year. We just, you know what I mean? Start afresh, start anew.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is no college game day without Lee Corso.
And I'm going to be honest with you. I like it whenever he's not on like the last couple of years. You got to remember he's always done like a segment or two from his house, like by a Zoom call or however he's doing it with that ESPN camera, however he's doing it. So he's always either having like a pool party in his backyard with the mascots or whatever, some type of. I think he's still gonna have Corso throughout the year, but like I told you, if he's not traveling, he's still gonna have a segment with him or two at his house, whatnot with all those mascots. It's
That's
gonna
a
be
great
fun.
point. That's a great point. You can still keep him involved without him being on site. That's a really great point. All right, John. So speaking of
I'll
fans,
say I'll
man, but
say over on that, but let me tell you this
no,
also about you
sure.
said who you gonna find better than Kirk Herbstreit? You won't find
Uh,
nobody better than Kirk Herbstreit because one, his passion of the love for college football, and like you brought up, look how he travels. For example, Friday night, if his kids are still in high school, forgive me if they are or they're not. I don't know on top of my head, but he watches a high school football game on Friday night in Cincinnati, Ohio, because he's living there now. And then right after that high school game gets over, he's flying to like Oregon, for example, and probably arriving in Oregon like at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning. And then think about it, he's probably only gonna get like 2 or 3 hours sleep, and then prep for college game day at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning in general. So find somebody else like you brought up that flies cross country Friday night and a Saturday morning, for example, and then right after college game day gets over, takes as a police escort to that nearest airport, and then flies another 2 or 3 hours cross country in general for another game in general and prep. For example, like last year, I think it was like in the maybe like in the Midwest somewhere. For example, college game
yeah.
day was, and then he flew to the swamp for that Tennessee Florida game on the
Mhm.
ESPN. So find somebody better than Kirk Herbstreit. Tell me a name or two. If anybody's listening right now and does not want Kirk Herbstreit on that college game day anymore, find me somebody else better, and then I'll see if I agree with it or not.
Oh yeah, and good luck finding somebody that's going to do that, but also that's going to keep the degree of detail that Kirk Herbstreit keeps throughout the year. The knowledge he has of these guys, and I understand. Trust me, I get it. They get there, they sit down with the coaches, they ask their specific questions, they know what their segments are. I get that, but it's more than that with Kirk.
It's prep, baby, prep.
It's prep, man. He is prepared for everything he does. I met him personally. I talked to him personally at the Senior Bowl. He's prepped for everything he does. He is on top of every single thing he does. He was the um, moderator of the Senior Bowl Summit. Did an amazing job. Does it every year. Um, yeah, good luck. But yeah, no, I think Corso, man. I'm excited. I love Corso. He's great. Like I said, man, when that old guy drops an F bomb, throwing a hat or something across, it's so funny. All right, John. So speaking of fans, fans are nuts. We know this. We're fans too. We get it. Um, how many posts on social media do you think that it'll be that a coach needs to be fired? Get him out of there. I want him gone. He sucks. Why did we give him an extension? Why didn't we fire him last year? Let's see, John. What are some other ones?
Yeah.
Uh, let's
This play
see.
call is awful.
Oh yeah, his offense is so boring. Um, the the team could be winning 45-3, and it's not good enough. Why is this quarterback still in? Who is the other? Who is this guy? Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. It happens every year. It happens every week. It's already happened. It's happening in preseason. It's happening in preseason. I guarantee you, Boise State fans are pissed that they bring in the USC transfer and then a two-star rated
Yeah.
quarterback beats him out for starting quarterback position. If that doesn't tell you that the quote star rating of recruiting means absolutely freaking nothing, find me some more better results. Five-star quarterback. If you're a five-star quarterback, you should not get beat out by a two-star quarterback. Period. It's not a hot take. That's a fact. I mean, you agree, John?
Yeah, but again, me personally, I'm not a big fan of nothing against rivals and Scout and all of them.
Yeah.
But how are you showcasing? Like, I got a cousin right now that's playing high school football, for example. How do you? Which I'll probably get a little bit more information. He's only a junior right now, but to me, you're going to go ahead and rate these kids as a sophomore or freshman in high school when they're basically playing like 7-on-7. It's like AU basketball. You're gonna do your rating based on that, basically. But I think your rating should not come out till your senior year, to be honest with you, because of this. But a lot of nothing against Rivals and Scout, like I brought up, but they're rating kids as a freshman in high school these days. They're ranking them class of 2029. He's a 4-star quarterback. He's already got one offer from Illinois State, for example.
Yeah, yeah.
Why wait? Why? What's wrong with just wait until their senior year? Especially when the kids are transferring all over the time now in high school football, or from example, they're going to a prep school, for example, for their senior year of high school, and they're still going to be like a 4-star running receiver on a prep team, which is definitely probably. I mean, they're still going to be like a 4-star because they're going to a prep team. But what happened to the team and stats that you had before that? To me, that's one reason you need to have max preps up to date regarding the stats. Because if max preps keeps their stats up to date, and that's one reason I think you see the star rating basically being more honest. How are you going to basically rate a player on just film in general when nobody is really putting stats that they're on max preps these days at all for people to see?
Well, to your point, I saw a video today. Kid was a 2-star or 1-star, 7-on-7. They're calling him the new Julian Edelman of high school football or some crap.
Wow.
And this kid's just trash talking everybody. It's all he's doing. He's trash talking everybody. And it's got a good looking highlight video. I've never seen anybody have a bad highlight video, by the way.
Right.
But he's talking trash the entire time. And then he's like, oh, they're like, oh, he's got offers from Oregon. He's got offers from such and such, this and that. And he's dominating 7-on-7. And I'm like, that's great. He's not in pads. Put him in pads and tell me, and then let me watch him and see what he does. Because I can tell you,
Yeah.
I can tell you from doing it. I mean, even at the youth level and at the middle school level, but it doesn't matter. Football is football. Somebody without pads on, you can watch them and think, God, this guy's gonna be really good. And then they put pads on, and then they figure out that the other guy's got him on too, and he can hit you really hard, and he can take you out if he really wants to. You don't talk the trash that you talk at 7-on-7. Then you don't have the stats that a 5-star recruit will have. But a lot of fans put way too much stock into the star system of recruiting.
That's why I've always been in favor of playing a strength of schedule that's nothing against cupcakes on your schedule, but you can only, to me, you should only have one cupcake on your schedule every year in high school football. How are the kids going to get better with the running clock in the second half with the mercy rule?
They're not. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Speaking of cupcakes, when you look around the country and you look at some of these teams' schedules, their non-cons are absolutely atrocious. I understand that you do that, and the other team gets a big paycheck, and it's basically a glorified freaking scrimmage for you. And you look up and you scored 63 points at halftime, and yay, 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 and then the first thing you hear from the fans is, "Oh man, look out! This team's gonna be dangerous." Are you kidding? Are you kidding me, man? We just put 60-something points on that team. And then week 2, you go on the road, or somebody else comes into your building that didn't play cupcake you, and they come in and smack you around, and then all of a sudden it's, oh my gosh, well, what's going on with the coach, man? To me, and this is not what I'm saying, John. I'm not saying if you're Arkansas, for example, I expect you to schedule Oklahoma State, Memphis, Michigan, and Nebraska every season. That is not what I'm saying. I don't mind you scheduling an Arkansas State. I don't mind you scheduling a whoever, right? But don't go schedule. Why are you playing UT Martin? And I don't mean, that's no disrespect to UT Martin. How does that make your football team better? But more importantly, how does that help UT Martin in the long run in the longevity of their program when they look up and their starting quarterback and two running backs and a wide receiver and a defensive back and blah 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 are all hurt from playing, for example, Kansas State, because I know those two teams play.
Good point. But to
How
me,
does it help? That's what I
I
don't
mean,
get. Fans
did we
don't think about that.
did we just preview a team this past week that had like two one double A teams on their schedule, or is this my imagination? I thought it
Oh,
was. I
know.
thought,
I know. We talked about somebody that did. Um,
but yeah, like I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm kind of like I'd rather have that game as week one just to go and get that game over with, or toward the middle of the year, like when you got week 7 or week 8 down the road, for example. Like when you play like one double A school, like for example, I think Auburn in years past played like Alabama A&M like on week 7 or 8 or something like that. And to me, I think
yeah,
it's okay. I think it's okay,
there's no
but
need in that.
there's no need in it. Yes, but the way the NIL and transfer portal is these days, you know as much as I do. For example, if the players are not happy wherever they're at, maybe they'll be a shining star at a one double A school like UT Martin or somewhere like that because they can basically play there right away. For example, you remember Josh Hastings that played at Memphis? Yeah, Memphis played UT Martin a couple of times in his time at Memphis, and that was it was shined at UT Martin. So I could see why these players or these teams are playing a one double A school, year in year out now because somebody's not happy. They could see like they could be a good fit at that program like UT Martin down the road. So I'm still in favor of it, to be honest with you.
With playing cupcake teams.
Well, yeah, like one of them, but not like two or three of them a year.
Oh
I
yeah,
think,
yeah, yeah. Now I mean scheduling one, I understand,
yeah,
but you look up and man, I've seen some teams. I mean, I'm not trying to name any names specifically, but they have an elephant as a mascot. But I've
yeah.
seen this team, man, load up on the cupcakes. I mean, how does it
All right,
benefit Louisiana Monroe to go play at Tuscaloosa? How does that benefit either one of those programs? Obviously, unless they beat them like they did in 2007.
well, I'll look at Georgia for example. Look at them; they got Tennessee Tech, and then they got UMass toward the end of the year.
Yeah, why?
There's no shame at UMass, but look at how UMass has been struggling the last couple of years.
Oh yeah, look at how UMass is going to continue to struggle until they continue to grow that program. I mean, I feel bad for Kennesaw State this year. I mean, I haven't even gone back and looked at their schedule. We're going to break them down next week, but um, sorry, I guess you say this week. It is Sunday. Um, but no, man. I mean, when you look at schedules, it's and we're getting ready to talk about games in week one, and let's start with some schedules and let's look at Florida State, Georgia Tech. The game's in Dublin, August 24th. Florida State leads the all-time series 15-11-1. Entering 2024, FSU is on a 12-game ACC winning streak, and against the spread, since this is the over/under show, against the spread, they're 8-4, folks. When you look at Mike Norvell, it's his fifth year at Florida State. At Florida State, he's 31-17. Home, he's 17-8. Away, he's 10-8. Against the spread, he's 24-23-1. You
Wow.
know, I had a conversation with my stepdad years ago. I say years ago. It's been 4 or 5, I guess. And he made a comment that coaches that don't do well against the spread, fans eventually get very tired of. Because he said you don't realize how many fans actually put money on their own teams.
I know one fan right now.
Oh boy, do I do too. Oh man, do I. If you're 24, 23, and 1 at home, Mike Norvell and the Seminoles are 8 and 11 as a home favorite. As a home dog, they're 3 and 3. As an away favorite, they're 6 and 2. As an away dog, they're 4, 5, and 1. In conference play, they're 17 and 16, 7, 7, and 1 non-con. That's very interesting to me. And off a straight up loss, John, the Noles are 4 and 10.
Mm-mm-mm.
Overall, Mike Norvell is an even 22 and 22 at home as a home favorite, 6 and 4 as a home dog, 16 and 8 as an away favorite, 5, 9, and 2 as an away dog, and he's 52, 47, and 2 overall as a head coach. His overall record as head coach 69 and 32. In bowl games, though, John, he's 1 and 4. Just some interesting numbers there. When you look at Florida State, you look at Mike Norvell, you look at how maybe there's some trends with this team. There's no bigger anything that I look at when I look at numbers, when I look at statistics. I look at trends more than I do anything else. When you look at Florida State, John, that 24, 23, and 1 against the spread in the last 5 seasons as they enter this weekend's game. What's the line of that game is 11? 11 points. Georgia Tech, 55 and a half, over under. I would take the over, first off. 55 and a half, give me the over. Um, and honestly, man, give me Georgia Tech
The cover?
to win the game.
You joking, right?
No, I'm being dead serious.
Oh,
I
my
think Georgia.
God.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm dead serious. I think Georgia Tech wins this football game.
All right, give me a reason why Georgia Tech wins this game.
I mean, I think when you look at their head coach, I think when you look at the way that they've played, I mean, look at them last year, John. Think about how many games they were in, how many games they played pretty well. But it's a 7 and 6 last year. Louisville 39-34, close game. Ole Miss beat them pretty good. 31-23 against Georgia to close the year. 7 and 6 under Brent Fry, man. I'm telling you, I think this team with Haynes King at quarterback, I think I think this team's very dangerous. And they're used to playing at a neutral site to start the season because this is the third straight season that they've done it. They covered last year against Louisville. They lost the last meeting with Florida State 41-16 and 23. I'm sorry, in 22. And they covered the previous 7 matchups in this game. When you look at trends of Florida State, you look at trends of Georgia Tech, that further validates why I say give me Georgia Tech to get the win in week 1.
Yeah, I could see why Georgia Tech could favor it or not be favored, but cover this game.
Shock the world.
I'll say they'll cover, but I won't say they win. They'll win, but I'll say they'll cover the 11-point spread just because um, Georgia Tech does have 8 returning starters on offense compared to Florida State's 5 returning starters on defense. But you brought up a good point regarding their quarterback play. But the real question is over and under 500 yards passing combined between the two quarterbacks. But the key
Give me
position, I
over all
think, for this
day.
game, yeah, I think the key position for this game is going to be the receiving core from Florida State. How do they adjust to that new quarterback play? In DJ. So, but that's one reason I think with traveling cross country, Georgia Tech covers, but I don't think they're going to win the game. If they do, more power to them. Congratulations on that hard fought win. But yeah, I don't think Georgia Tech wins this game, but I think they cover the 11. And I do think, like you, I think it could be a high scoring game. I think they'll go over. I can see this game very well be like a
Georgia
30-7 type
Tech's
ball game.
Georgia Tech is on a 6 and yeah, no doubt. Like I said, Georgia Tech is on a 6-1 against the spread run versus ranked foes, including 4 outright upsets. And if you're listening, if you're just now tuning in, over under 4 star sports media. Appreciate everybody watching and listening. I just picked Iowa. I think when you look at the trends of the Yellow Jackets, I think when you look at Brent Fry, I think this team is just trending in that direction. I think it's a trap game for Florida State to start the year. Georgia Tech is used to playing in a neutral site to start their season. It's the third straight time they've done it. They've covered in the last previous 7 meetings. It's only an 11-point spread for Florida State. Only an 11-point spread for Florida State. Like I just said, Georgia Tech is on a 6-1 against the spread run versus ranked opponents, including 4 outright upsets. And under head coach Brent Key, the Jackets are 10-5 against the spread versus ACC foes entering 2024. I think if you look at the trends, give me Georgia Tech, man. What you think, John?
Like sorry about that. We had a little bit of technical difficulty, but Georgia Tech covers the 11, but I agree with you. It could be over the 55 right now because of the two quarterback plays. So I say it'll be like a 30-27 type ball game down the road. I think it's going to be a slow start for both teams. I think, but both teams probably get a little bit tired toward that second half because one, the time difference, and they're just finally ready to get home, and whatnot. So I'll say 30-27, Florida State somehow pulls it out at the end.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, when you look at, like I just said, man, I think Georgia Tech gets the win. Call me
Hey,
crazy. Call me what you want. SMU Nevada over under is 57 and a half. The line currently is SMU favored by 27. Can the Wolfpack get the ponies?
no. Good thing the game's in Nevada, but no. Preston Stone, 400 yards passing in week zero. Calling right now on FS1. Preston Stone throws all
Really?
over them Nevada Wolfpack. He's gonna have a field day.
Wow. So you take SMU to cover. I mean, what about the 57 and a half? Are you going over that or under that?
Maybe Nevada will score like 7 points in the first half. That's no shade at Nevada, but I think SMU is going to be dangerous this year, like a lot of people are saying. They might even make the playoff for a lot of people. We very well could see a Memphis versus SMU playoff game. You never know. Um, but just talking about, I think Nevada can score 21 points maybe, but it'll be toward the end of the game where SMU don't have their
It's
first
a
or
great
second
point.
string
It's a
even
great
in.
point.
So yeah, I'll say they'll cover, but it's gonna be barely, and
Mm.
whatnot. But just I think SMU just got too much offense, fly high power against Nevada. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, Nevada struggled last year. Give me the over. Give me the over. I think both teams get some points on the board. I think Nevada, however you want to say it. I think they score as well. I just think SMU scores more. But 27 is a lot of points, man. But I think SMU covers because I think that offense is. I mean, first off, man, you give reps, no doubt about it in my mind. Preston Stone is there. Tony and I talked a little bit about SMU as well. If you want to go check that interview out, head over to fourstar.live. Just type in the number 4STAR.live. When you do, that's our content, everything right there, one stop shop for you. You can get podcasts such as this. You can get podcasts such as the Sports Buffet, which will be back tomorrow, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, um, which is just a plethora of sports knowledge from different sports. It's a buffet, is what it is. It's a plateful. Wednesday night, you get the Tigers Den, talking all things Memphis Tigers. Thursday night, you get the Hogs Happy Hour. And now Saturday, you get Inside the Lines, which is a Memphis high school prep show hosted by your guy over there, John Sturtevant. So that'll
Make sure
be
everything on
7
that
days a
inside the
week.
lines, by the way.
Our
Make sure
shows here
everything coming
for us at
soon.
Four Star Sports Media. We appreciate everybody watching and listening. Over under, we've been going right at an hour. We appreciate it, John. We're talking SMU Nevada, or we're wrapping up talking SMU Nevada. I think, yeah. Up next, man, another game that stands out to me. The over under is 57 and a half. And that's Coastal Carolina, Jacksonville State. And John, speaking of Jacksonville State, I just have to know something, man. What's your thoughts on this? This is their 50-yard line. What's your thoughts? Look at that bad boy. Damn. The
Kind of looks like
Gamecocks of Jacksonville State
oh lordy.
are going throwback logo. Man, I gotta be honest with you. I like it. I'm a fan. But they start their season at home against Coastal Carolina. They're a 3.5 point favorite. 57 and a half over under. Give me the over in that, by the way. Grayson McCall is no longer at Coastal Carolina. Let's not forget that. Jacksonville State is going to be a lot of fun to watch. Don't sleep on that team. We talked about him recently. Rich Rod, baby. He's back and he's doing his thing down at Jacksonville State. Over under, John, 57 and a half. What you got on that?
I'm gonna do under. I think it's gonna be like a 24 to like 17 type ball game. I think both teams are going to be a little bit struggling right off the bat. Um, as many times as Rich Rod throws the football in the first half, it won't be surprising. He'll probably throw it like 45 times, in that first half. He did it at Arizona. He did it at Michigan. He did it wherever he's been so far. So I'll do the under at 24-17 type ball game.
Yeah, he also did it with Sean King and Tulane back in the day when Tommy Bowden was the head coach. As the offensive coordinator of the Green Wave. Another one, man, stands out to me. The over-under is 46 and a half. The line is 12, and that's Michigan State over FAU. The Fighting Tom Hermans, as I like to call them. What's your thoughts on that, man? I think it's a very interesting line.
So it's minus 12 right now with Florida Atlantic, Michigan State. I'll say, gosh, you really don't know what to expect on Michigan State year in year out anymore, really, because they seem to be starting off fresh, starting off good, and then they kind of in the middle of the season they kind of struggle, whatnot. But I think the 12 is maybe just right at 12 is a good spread to start the year. I think you don't know what to expect for Tom Herman right off the bat. People are predicting Tom Herman to win 7 or 8 games, this year and whatnot, and improve Owl bunch. But I'll say 12 is right on the money regarding this game, to be honest with you, because the way that Michigan State's been up and down the last couple of years.
Man, I'm not trying to be that guy today, but give me the over. Over's 46 and a half. It's a little low. But give me the over there. And give me FAU to walk into East Lansing, Michigan and pull out a win on the road at Sparty to start their 2024-2025 season, John.
Wow, you are full of upsets this already. It's not even
I mean,
it's not even Saturday morning at 9 o'clock college game day yet.
nope, sure not. Um, I'm telling you, man, I like this Tom Herman football team. Yes, they were 4-8 last year. I understand that.
And
I
so is
get that,
Michigan
man.
State.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Exactly. Thank you. It's the fourth meeting between these two teams. Yes, FIU is a 1-11 straight up versus current Big Ten teams. They are 6-4-1 against the spread in those. They lost to Illinois last year. Since joining the FBS in 2004, the Owls have only won one road opener. That was 2010 versus UAB. They're 6 for 7 against the spread in those games. I'm telling you, man, I've got a feeling with this team. I like this team. They bring in Cam Fancher from Michigan. He threw for over 2,000 yards last year, 11 touchdowns, 11 picks, but with 65%. They also add in Colorado transfer Kason Wiseman. They were subpar last year at this position, if we're being honest, right? But then you bring in CJ Campbell out of Florida State. He comes over. You got Zuberi Mobley at running back. You got Marlon Johnson is going to be incredible. Came out of Buffalo for the last 2 seasons. Played really well there. But, when you look at this FAU team, Lane Kiffin gave him a heck of a run, and then he left for Ole Miss. Willie Taggart did a good job.
He didn't
And
give him
then,
enough time, in my opinion.
I don't know. Um,
COVID year hurt him.
I mean, it did. It did. When you look at their schedule this year, or last year, they avoided Memphis. They avoided SMU, which is nice. When you look at their schedule this year, they avoid Memphis. Um, man, I'm telling you, they avoid Tulane as well. I think their defense is going to be really good. Their non-con slate's not bad. Like I said, they open up at Michigan State. Then they play FIU. They play Wagner.
At UConn.
Yeah, at UConn. Shout out Jim Moore.
Hey, that could be a
Um,
trap game for the Owls, though.
that could be a trap game too. Exactly. But I think the Owls are going to do it, dude. I really do. I think the Owls are going to walk into Michigan State and get the win in week 1. Now, look, folks, they could walk in there and get absolutely shellacked. I am in no way, shape, or fashion saying go throw money on FAU. In my opinion, I think FAU walks in there and wins, just like with the Georgia Tech game. In my opinion, I think Georgia Tech walks in there and gets the win in Dublin. Am I going to get trashed by Florida State fans? I don't know. Probably. Is that okay? Yes. You can just call me Kirk 2.0.
Yeah,
Um,
you brought up a good point because looking at it, Jonathan Smith from Michigan State. It's his first year being a head coach at Michigan State. They returned 5 starters on offense, but that defense is loaded where they returned 10 starters on
it is.
defense. And Florida Atlantic also returns 8 starters on defense. This is one game that I think is going to be low scoring right off the bat, or low scoring affair, like a 17 to like 14 type ball game, just because you don't got a lot of people returning on offense. And it's going to be interesting to see how Michigan State defends the pass. Tom Herman likes to throw the ball around.
Yes, he does.
So that's one reason I think the returning starters on offense is going to be key for both teams in this matchup. But that's one reason I think the under or that point or the under. But I think it's going to be if Florida Atlantic can just stay composure within a 2-score game going into that fourth quarter. You never know what could happen with Tom Herman. We've seen Tom Herman rally before, so I won't be surprised if he rallies in this game as well.
Yeah. All right, man. We close with this. You mentioned it earlier. The game's at 3 p.m. on Fox Sports 1. The over-under is 53.5 total points. And Montana State is favored by 9.5 points on the road at New Mexico. Now, let's not forget, the home team, generally speaking, quote unquote gets 3 points. Okay, so let's not forget that. What's your thoughts on this? Do you think the Bobcats can walk in there and really, truly take out New Mexico in week 1?
Hey, they are one of the top teams in win AA year in year out. They always seem to like make a quarterfinal or semifinal against like their rival Montana.
Yeah.
In a playoff somehow, and they always square off against each other in that playoff. But I would not be surprised. Nothing. Hey, man, Bronco Mendenhall did well at BYU, but it's his first year at New Mexico, and it's kind of going to be like a rebuilding year for the Lobos because they only returned 3 offensive starters and 6 defensive players, whatnot. But I won't be surprised if Montana State does go in there and beat New Mexico and definitely does cover the 9 just because of Montana State's experience in that 1AA level. And I think Bronco Mendenhall is also old school, to be honest with you. So that's one reason I think Montana State can go in there and beat New Mexico.
Is he the first coach fired if New Mexico loses to Montana State to start 2024?
No. Like in the first year, no. Because their non-conference schedule is no joke.
Oh, true.
They do have Auburn, in week 4.
Hey,
right after a bye week.
Those New Mexico teams in Auburn. There's a history with that.
Especially New Mexico State. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now you gotta give Bronco Mendenhall at least 2 or 3 years to see how he does by getting recruits in, especially the way the new Mountain West is with Washington State and Oregon State coming in. But it's going to be hard because, they do have Fresno State at home and Wyoming at home and Washington State at home. But give Mendenhall at least 2 or 3 years. But I still think he's old school where a lot of people are going to be looking at his BYU film from years past.
Yeah, BYU, then you had Virginia for a little while as well. Yeah. So when you look at Bronco, he's got a tenure. You know what I mean? He's been around a minute, but no doubt. But man, John, all right. The final question of the show, man. I'm excited about college football. I'm ecstatic is the term about college football. It's coming up. We got games Saturday. Then we got games the following Thursday night, and then it's on and going full steam until, January, February?
Right.
Feels like it goes forever. And then there's that in the gap where there's nothing. So, John, final question. Over, under, 4-Star Sports Media. Appreciate everybody watching and listening. Wes Pruitt, host of the show. Level excitement for college football to be back. I have it at 200, John. Are you over or under?
You're being too kind. That's way over.
Man, hell yeah. Way over. I'm probably about 200,000 right now. I caught myself watching the 98 Tennessee-Florida game earlier that was on SEC Rewind. That was an incredible football game. Yeah, I'm very excited, man. But I'm excited for more than just the teams, the games. I'm excited for the story inside the game.
Yeah, definitely
the story on the coaches. That Memphis-Florida State game, speaking of Florida State, that Memphis-Florida State game has a lot of stories.
That should be a night game, by the way.
Yeah, it's not. It's going to be hot as crap down there. It's 11 o'clock in the morning. And then, then you look at, for example, Memphis. They're missing a quarter of their stadium now. Fans, by the way, if you're listening and you're a Memphis fan, the team's still playing in Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium.
Oh, I thought we were playing at Holly Field, Wes.
Yeah, is that field even there anymore?
Or Holly Stadium, I'm not Bryant. Yeah.
Man, that stadium's been there a long time. All right, folks, if you're looking for tickets, concerts, sporting events, whatever, head over to SeatGeek now. When you do, type in 4-Star Sports Media into the promo code at the bottom, And if it's your first ticket purchase, you can save $20 off that purchase. If you don't believe us, just go there and type it in, and we will prove you right because you'll save $20. Over under presented by 4 Star Sports Media. Appreciate everybody watching and listening as always. We'll be right back next Sunday as we'll be talking a little college football. We'll be talking a little NFL, and we'll be talking a lot more. And also tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m., right here at 4 Star Sports Media Network, we will be back with a sports buffet, full plate of food for you as we talk college football, NFL preseason. Man, we're talking a lot. Talking top 5 list again. Not going to give away what the list is. We'll have to let you watch tomorrow and figure that out. We'll have burning question of the show as always. We'll have polls up as well. All that and more tomorrow, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, as always, on the Sports Buffet. All that and more presented to you right here by 4 Star Sports Media. We appreciate everybody watching and listening. Y'all have a great evening and a great week of work. Later, folks.